Hey, Jersey, this is question 5. So one of the key points here is notice it says that has rational coefficients and a leading coefficient of 1. So one of the main things we're going to look at here is that if we have an imaginary root, then we know that its conjugate is also a root. Okay, so to find the conjugate, we just change the symbol in between the real term and the imaginary term. Okay, and the same thing as we did in the top example up here. Remember when we go back to question 4? Remember how we did x minus the root? And then x minus that root, x minus that root? We're going to do the same thing for question 5. We're going to do x minus negative 5. Then watch this right here. We're going to do x minus, notice I'm putting this in parentheses, 3 plus I. And then we're going to do x minus the conjugate, 3 minus I. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to distribute the negative sign through to these, and then we'll multiply these together. You always want to multiply any trinomials that have imaginary numbers by their conjugates. Okay? So when we distribute this is going to be x minus 3 minus I. And this one right here would be x minus 3 plus I, because of negative negative. And this just turns into an x plus 5. So when I'm doing this right here, I'm only going to FOIL 5 things. And specifically, I'm going to FOIL the first to the first to the second to the first, and the second to the second. And then I'll FOIL the last term to the last term. By doing this, if you were to FOIL all 9 of them, 4 of them will end up canceling each other out. So you only have to FOIL those specific 5 terms. Okay? So when we do that, it's going to be x squared minus 3x. See, x squared minus 3x. Another minus 3x. A plus 9. And then you got a minus I squared. So hopefully we already know that I squared is equal to negative 1. So when we see this right here, this is actually x squared minus 6x plus 9, and that's going to be plus 1 because of negative negative. So that would actually be plus 10. And then over here, we're going to have x plus 5. And once again, we're just going to multiply through here to get our final answer. So that's x to the third minus 6x squared plus 10x plus 5x squared. Notice how I'm putting like terms underneath like terms right here. Minus 30x and plus 50.
Oh, they're right here.
When I add straight down, we end up getting our final answer of x to the third minus x squared minus 20x plus 50.